Hello everyone and welcome back to the Synergy Sanctum. My name is Justin. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here at the Synergy Sanctum, we specialize in all things related to Magic the Gathering, with a specific focus on deck building. So I aim to show you very quick deck techs that'll show you all of the cards in the deck and how they work together to ultimately achieve the goals of that deck. If you're not already, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. And we also have a sister channel now, so head on over to Commander Coliseum and check out their content as well. And for today's deck tech, we have Anti-Venom Horrifying Healer, one of the spoilers from the upcoming Spider-Man set that's coming out soon. Anti-Venom Horrifying Healer is a 5 mana cost mono white commander. When he enters, you can bring back a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, but that is not why he is here. He is here for the second ability of if damage would be dealt to Anti-Venom, you get to prevent that damage and put that many +1 counters on him. So this deck seems broken. This is, to me, arguably the best spoiler we've gotten from the Spider-Man set that's coming out soon. And we built a budget build for this Anti-Venom deck. So current TCG market value is $106 to $128. And we are doing some crazy stuff today. So we're running 34 lands, with 25 of those being plains and 9 of those being non-basics. And what we're aiming to do is to really break this whole damage being dealt to Anti-Venom. So there are surprisingly a lot of cards in mono white that are dealing damage to a creature that you control. So we are going to initiate that, and then we're going to be able to block and do a lot of attack triggers as well, so that when our opponents are blocking Anti-Venom to prevent that commander damage, he's just getting bigger and bigger. So to start our win cons and combos in the deck, we are running a Phyrexian Vindicator, which is very similar to Anti-Venom. If damage would be dealt to Phyrexian Vindicator, you get to prevent that damage, and when damage is prevented this way, it deals that much damage to any target. So this combos off for infinite damage with Guilty Conscience, which is just a single white that says when enchanted creature deals damage, Guilty Conscience deals that much damage to enchanted creature. So this loops with Phyrexian Vindicator, and it also loops with Stuffy Doll. However, Stuffy Doll forces you to just choose a single player. So Phyrexian Vindicator is going to have you wipe everybody out. Stuffy Doll will have you wipe out a single person because you have to choose the player. And then there's also a fun thing in here with Pariah Shield. So both Pariah Shield and Guilty Conscience synergize really well with Anti-Venom. But with Stuffy Doll and Pariah Shield, you would choose yourself, and then this goes infinite to draw the game, which I think is funny in mono white. Why not? And then we want to protect Anti-Venom. So Anti-Venom, we want to make sure that if we're going to spend that amount of white mana to cast him, we want to have him stick around for a while. So we are running pretty much almost every single budget-friendly card that will either protect him from a certain color, give him indestructible, or give him hexproof. So things like Timely Ward and Selfless Spirit and Boromir are all giving him indestructible. Swiftfoot Boots and Champion's Helm are giving him hexproof. Shelter, Mother of Runes, Giver of Ruins, these are all protecting from a certain color. We've got additional hexproof and indestructible protection with Spectacular Tactics from the new Spider-Man set, as well as Blacksmith Skill. Sheltering Light has the protection with indestructible again, and then Lauren's Escape is giving indestructible and hexproof, as well as an additional Scry. And then we've got even more protection, so we are going to want to be swinging out with Anti-Venom, so we want to run things like Ghostly Prison to protect ourselves. We're running Flare of Fortitude because you can just sack a non-token white creature instead of paying for the 4 mana here. And then until end of turn, permanents you have get hexproof and indestructible, so more protection. Temple is under attacks, giving indestructible as well, but it's also giving you draw. Reroute Systems giving indestructible, and then Sajiri Shelters giving protection from a color, and then also has the added benefit of being a land since we are in mono white. And then damage to Anti-Venom. So here's what I was talking about with how many cards there are that can deal damage to creatures that you control. So there's this whole series of cards from Stronghold and Time Spiral, and it is the Encore cards. So Warrior Encore, Spirit Encore, Outrider Encore, Shaman Encore and Nomad's Encore, all for 0 as an activated ability, can prevent the next damage that would be dealt. So basically you could be blocking with them, activate this as many times as you want to take it down to 0 damage and redirect it all to Anti-Venom. So really powerful here. Similar effect with General's Regalia, but you have to pay 3 and then you can have all the damage go to Anti-Venom. Golden Guardian can fight Anti-Venom, and Anti-Venom will obviously live, and Golden Guardian becomes a land. Pariah, very similar to Pariah Shield, you get to redirect all damage dealt to you to the enchanted creature, so really solid here. Gideon's Sacrifice is really good as well. You choose a creature you control, all damage that would be dealt this turn to me or permanent you control is dealt to that chosen permanent instead, so a really broken one here. Arena is another fight ability, so you would target Anti-Venom and another creature, have them fight, and then Anti-Venom gets the counters. Martyrdom is saying until end of turn you can redirect it all to target creature, all any amount of damage. And then Inquisitor's Flail is doubling up the damage from Anti-Venom, but it's also doubling up the damage dealt to Anti-Venom, so really powerful equipment again. And then other good stuff in the deck, so we want them to be able to block as many creatures as we can so we can load up that damage. So running things like Valor Made Real, Genesis Mass, and Give No Ground, as well as Entangler. So all of these allow them to block as many as we want. We've got +1 counter synergies with Abzan Falconer and Abzan Battle Priest, giving flying and lifelink respectively. And then Brave the Sands is giving him vigilance. Thraben Charm and Dawn Charm are good interaction pieces that have multiple different abilities, but they are able to prevent damage that would be dealt this turn, as well as deal damage to a creature. Duelist Heritage is giving a single creature double strike whenever 1 or more attacks. And then Witch's Clinic is giving Anti-Venom lifelink, which is super solid. And then we've got a ton of draw on the deck, so repeatable draw is what we're going for here with a couple of spells. So War Room, Minas Tirith, and Bonder's Enclave all are repeatable draw on lands. We've got Collector's Vault and Endless Atlas giving us repeatable draw. Infiltration Lens, if they're going to block Anti-Venom, we're going to draw 2 cards. Mengura the Diplomat is giving you draw whenever an opponent casts their second spell. And then we're running Cut a Deal and Secret Rendezvous, which give us draw but also give an opponent draw. And then removal in the deck, so you hear something on watch is dealing 5 damage to target attacking creature, which you could do towards Anti-Venom as well. Similar theme with Razorgrass Ambush. Razorgrass Ambush is also a land. We're running Wave of Reckoning and Repenance, which have creatures deal damage to themselves equal to their power. So with Anti-Venom, we don't care about this, so they're like pseudo board wipes. Kabira Takedown can deal damage to Anti-Venom. Divine Reckoning would have him survive and has flashback. And then Stroke of Midnight and Generous Gift remove permanents, so if there's enchantments or things that are preventing us from this strategy, we can remove them. And then in addition to that, here's our mana base. So we are in mono white, which means we're never going to have lands. We're going to be having to ramp and try to fix that problem. So we're running Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble. Nyx Lotus is really good because it adds equal to your devotion. So with Anti-Venom having so many white mana cost symbols and his casting cost, this works really well. Terrain Generator is letting you put additional basics from your hand into play. Knight of the White Orchid, Keeper of the Accord, Weathered Wayfarer, and Claim Jumper all fetch you planes, as well as Gift of Estates, as long as we meet the situations that are outlined on each card. And then Solemn Simulacrum is getting us a land, as well as a draw when it dies. And with that, our show has come to an end. Thank you so much for watching our video, and if you enjoyed that video, feel free to share it out with any friends who might find value in it as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. We hope to see you again soon. Have a good one.